hearing ghostly music, a baby crying, and seeing a seemingly solid full-body apparition. Hear these experiences and more on this episode of the Peep Podcast. Welcome to the Peep Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Maroc, and I'm thankful you're here. The two big ideas behind the Peep Podcast are to show that the paranormal is more normal than most people think, and to connect the science to the psi, including ESP, psychokinesis, and intuition. Just a quick note for this and the last two shows. If I've sounded a bit different, that's because I've been fighting a heck of a sinus infection that first presented in early November as severe vertigo, then lessened to feeling like I was always on a boat, and finally started to act like a bad sinus infection. Over the last month, I've been on meclizine, Mucinex D, antibiotics, Flonase, and now I'm on prednisone. If you have any good vibes to spare, please send them my way. I'm hoping for the miracle of feeling 100% better by Christmas. Thanks in advance. Before we jump into this episode's interview, I want to let you know that the PDF version of Grumpy's Gift is available for download. The download link is in the show notes and on the books page of my website, NicoleMaroc.com. Grumpy's Gift is a short story sequel to The Dark Season and introduces a new character to Raina Smith's world. Here's the blurb. From oven disaster to unexpected romance, Raina Smith's New Year's Eve plans are thrown into chaos when a simple dinner turns into a culinary catastrophe. Can the night be salvaged, or will her first real dinner party go down in history as the worst ever? Download the PDF for free today. I also want to take a quick moment to say happy holidays to you. Following the every other Wednesday publishing schedule, my next episode would normally hit your feed on New Year's Day, but I'm going to give myself some time off to try to finish the first draft of my novel in progress, Daughter of the Mystic Moon. I'll be back on January 15th with new episodes. I hope you and yours have a joyful Christmas, happy Hanukkah, a wonderful winter solstice, a blessed New Year, and that any other holiday you might celebrate this season is beautiful. Now back to this episode's interview with Mike Howell. Mike is my best friend's older brother, and I'm delighted to have him on the show to share his stories of living in a haunted rental home. Let's dive in with Mike. Hi, Mike. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really thankful that you have come on the show to share your stories about living in a haunted house.
Yes, I did.
I'm excited to hear about it, and I'm sure my listeners are too. So if you just want to go ahead and launch right into it, take off.
Well, I never put much thought. This happened when I was maybe 20 years old, 19, 20 years old. I was in college. I had just gotten out of college, and these two guys that I went to college with, we had all gotten jobs at this factory in this town called Wendell, which is right outside of Raleigh. And we were looking for a place to live because we were going to be roommates. So we found a nice 5-bedroom house. I say nice; it was an old house. I think it was built. It was one of them old downtown, type deals. It was built I think it was built like 1915 or something like that. So it's an old house. And we went. Me and one of the guys. I don't know where the third one was this day, but we went down to look at the house, and the family that was in there before us was still living in it. So this is where the kind of, the weird stuff started kind of happening. So realtor sends us to the house. People know we're coming. We knock on the front door. It's middle of the day. It's not like, it's nighttime and spooky or anything like that. So this woman opens the door. She's holding got a baby on her hip, and there's kids everywhere in this house. I don't know how many. There's probably 7 or 8 of them, like 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, babies in cribs. She's holding one, and then there's this boy. Uh, I'd guess he might have been 10 or 11, something like that. Mm-hmm. And the house was trashed. I mean, not that I keep my house spotless or anything like that, but they just had 5 kids, and there's toys everywhere and stuff everywhere. And she's real nice, and she's like, the first thing that we noticed, or we kind of looked at each other, was she's calling this boy, and she's calling him Yarko, which I found out, like, I don't know what that means, but that we were like, what kind of name's that? And we found out later his real name is Mark. So, and he was calling her Aura, like ORA.
Yeah.
I found out later her, because they get mail and stuff that come there. Her name was Mary. Anyway, she's like, okay, we'll show you around the house. And the way this house was laid out, you had a front porch on it, and it had a front door right in the middle, and you went into like a big open foyer. And then the foyer narrowed into a hallway that went all the way to the back. And there was rooms off each side. So it's an old house. So like the living room and the dining room, like everywhere you'd go from one room to another, there was a door that you could close. So she's like, here's the first bedroom, and it's some kid's room with bunk beds in it or whatever. Here's the other room. There's a crib with a baby in it. She's walking us down, and so the next room on the right was the living room. So it's kind of weird. I mean, the way it was laid out, it wasn't laid out like they'd lay a house out now. So you look in the living room, there's a fireplace in there. And the house didn't have central air in it. So there was a huge window unit, like one of them big, one's the size of a small refrigerator or something in the living room window. And then, the dining room was behind that, and the kitchen was all the way in the back. Then on the other side of the hallway, you had, I guess it would have been the master bedroom, because it was the biggest one. Mm-hmm. There was one on each side when you came in the front door, living room, and then the big bedroom. And then there was a hallway, there was a door. And this was weird too. This is what if you looked at the door, this was obviously a room addition put on the house. The door was tilted like this, like where the head of the door was on an angle.
Yeah.
Like it was built that way. And then going down the hallway floor, the hallway's only 3 feet wide, and it was slanted probably 2 inches from one side to the other. It was like hard to walk down it without twisting your ankle. And then you go down, and there was a room on the left, and the door was shut on. So she showed us all these rooms, and like right in the middle of when we were looking at it, she all of a sudden calls that kid, Yarko, and he comes running up, and she goes down. It's like, to me, it's kind of rude to like whisper something to somebody when you got 2 people standing there with you.
Right.
And she like leans all around backwards, and she's whispering in his ear, and he's looking straight ahead. And she was whispering where we couldn't hear what she was saying. And when she whispered it, he cut his eyes and like looked at both of us. And he took off. And I didn't, that was kind of strange. So we're through walking through this house, and, we kind of went down that hallway to where that back room is, and she was trying to like redirect us away from there. And the guy that was with me, one of my roommates, Mitch, he goes, "Oh, we can go in this room. What's in here?" And he went to open the door, and that kid was in there. And when he tried to open the door, we saw the kid's face, and he slammed the door back shut real hard on us.
Whoa.
I said, "Oh, that's just another room. You don't want to go in there. It's a mess." And like I said, the whole house was a mess. So I'm like, okay. So that was the end of that. Well, then the time came, they moved out, and we were going to move in. And these things that would happen kind of started off subtle. And then it was like a crescendo where they would
Mhm.
eventually just. So, I mean, I'm going back. This was over 30 years ago. I'm trying to remember, but when you'd walk in the hallway, there was ductwork or something under the hall, and it kind of made this metallic sound like you're hitting a piece of sheet metal with, a hammer or something.
Yeah.
And like I said, the only room that had an air conditioner in it was the living room. So you could go in the living room and you could close the door that goes to the hallway. And you could close the door from the dining room into the hallway, and that window unit would cool the living room, the dining room, and the kitchen. But if you open the doors, it wouldn't cool because it wasn't big enough.
Mm.
So we would always sit in the living room. We'd have the door shut. We had one of them big old console TVs like your grandparents would have that sits on the floor. And we'd be sitting there like first day we moved in, we're sitting there watching TV. And this is like, again, this is in the daytime. It's not nighttime and nobody's freaked out or spooked or anything. And you heard loud and plain as day, footsteps ran down the hallway. I mean, like to the point where we were all like this because, I mean, the first thing we thought is somebody just came in the front door.
Right.
And, because it started at the front of the house and went to the back of the house. And in that back room, I'll back up a second. When we all picked bedrooms, nobody wanted that room because it just didn't have a good vibe to it. It had this weird, that old indoor outdoor carpet that's got like hopscotch boards on it, and
Yeah.
like kids' room. It had that in there, so we just used it like as a storage. And the door was open on it, and when we heard these footsteps run down the hallway, we heard the door slam. So that freaked us out. So we thought somebody was in the house. And we all get up and we're opening the door and we're looking down there and you can see the door's closed. And we're all getting, baseball bats and golf clubs. And, we go down there, open the door, and of course there's nobody's in there. We went, looked in the closet, looking all around. And that kept happening. Like, and the speed of the footsteps would be different. Sometimes it would be somebody running, sometimes the footsteps would be heavier, but it was always they'd start at the front of the house, go down the hall, go into that room, and the door would slam. And it got to the point where we were just keeping the door shut. And then the next thing I remember is, all right, this one guy, I had two roommates, and one guy was a real cynic. All right, he had an explanation for everything.
Yeah.
He didn't believe it. It had to be this. It had to be the wind or the rain or whatever. And he was in the bathroom taking a shower one day. And again, I think it was daytime. And he comes in the living room and we're in there, me and the other guy are in there watching TV, and he's got a towel around his waist. He's like, "Hey, y'all think you're funny, don't you?" And I'm like, "What? What y'all doing?" And they're flipping the lights on and off. And I said, "No, we didn't get up because we didn't."
Right.
So apparently, then lights would flicker in the house. Like you'd be in there taking a shower. While you're in the shower, the lights would turn off, and then they'd turn back on. And it was mainly the back. It could have been something was wrong with it, whatever. But then the next thing I remember, other than the footsteps, which was a constant thing, the lights flickering. They'd flicker in the bathroom, and then they start doing it in the kitchen. Then they do it, like you'd have a light turned on somewhere and they just turn off, and then you'd go, "The damn bulb must have burned out," and it'd turn back on. And like the light would turn on, like say the bathroom door is open, somebody's walking around, and the light would turn off. You go in there and the switch is flipped.
Yeah.
So what, like the light was just, the switch flipped somehow. And then the next thing I remember is normally when we'd get home from work, there was a barbecue place over there, and we'd go come in from work and we'd go eat dinner at that barbecue place. I mean, it was only like a few blocks from the house. And we were all broke and worried about the power bill and all that stuff. So we'd go to the barbecue place and we'd come back and the TV would be on. And the one guy I told you, that grouchy guy that was real cynical,
Yeah.
"Man, you quit leaving that TV on, you're gonna run the power bill up." We go, okay, man, sorry, one of us must have left it on. And then it got to the point where every day we'd come back, the TV would be on. And we made it a point, like it happened so much that we were like, all right, we're leaving. Everybody, we're going to turn the TV off. And we'd leave, we'd come back, it'd be on. And then it started uh, getting to the point where, like, if we get up and go in the kitchen and come back, the TV would be off. And it was like one of them old TVs that had a remote, but it's the one with you punch the buttons on it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And like we would go. I mean, it only picked up. We only had. I think we had cable. I don't know how the thing worked. I don't know. Somehow it only had certain stations that it had the knobs on it where you turn them.
Yep.
And we came back in there, and it was like on some channel that you couldn't even put it on. It was like on channel 312 or something like that. It was just snow on the screen. And we switched it and it went back whatever, like we had to keep it on channel 3 or whatever to get our cable.
Right.
And then we like, how did it get on that channel? And we started trying to put it on that channel and you couldn't do it. So, that's what's going on with the TV. And the footsteps running down the hall was really the biggest thing because it felt like somebody was in the house with
Yeah.
at first we were like scared. And then it happened so much, and then nothing more ever happened that we just quit getting scared by it.
Did it happen at certain times of the day or just randomly?
No, it would happen all the time. And like one night I was there by myself, and the other two guys were gone, and this friend of mine came over, and he's real, scared of ghosts, spooked, and all that stuff. And I was telling him about all this stuff, and he's over there and he's sitting in this chair that's right by the door to the living room. And it was dark, it was nighttime, and it was just me and him there. And I'm telling him about all this stuff. And he's over there squirming and pulling his legs up. And, oh man, don't tell me that. I don't know. And he said something like, "Man, you're full of crap. This ain't true," or whatever. And right when he said that, that living room door unlatched, flew open, and hit his chair like really hard, like somebody kicked it in. And I mean, it startled me. I've never seen that happen before. And I'm looking at the door and I'm trying to figure out if somebody's out in the hallway in the dark. And I look back to see what he's doing, and all I saw was his tail lights out the window going out of the driveway.
I'm sure that was frightening. I can't help but laugh because it just seems like that ghost had a sense of humor.
Well, uh we noticed in that back room, we were screwing around back there one time, and there was candle wax all over the floor. Like there would be places where somebody had set a candle down on the floor and the wax melted down. Then they'd pull it up and it would have a little circle where the candle was in the middle. And they were, I don't know, like there was more than one spot. They were all over the place.
Was that like on the indoor outdoor
Yeah,
carpet?
it was on that carpet.
Which, so you wouldn't think if, that was like a playroom or something like that, they'd have candles back there with little kids. So,
I personally wouldn't like candles in that old house or put them on the carpet. But yeah, somebody was back there setting candles on the floor and lighting them. And they were the whole, there were those candles that,
thick ones.
across or whatever.
Yeah.
And then this might not be in order, but somebody gave us a wood stove because I'm trying to remember how we used to heat the house, but we wanted the wood. Somebody gave us a wood stove and we were going to use it for heat because we didn't want to have to pay for oil for the furnace.
Mm-hmm.
So we got it over there and we're trying to put it in the fireplace, like slide it back in the fireplace, and it's hitting at the top. There's not enough room, for it to clear. So my roommate, one of my roommates, the guy that I told you was all cynical, he goes and gets a screwdriver and he's chiseling a row of bricks out of the top of the fireplace.
Wow.
Just one, you could,
Yeah.
just tap the mortar out of them, they'd fall down. So he takes like 5 bricks off the top. When he did, this envelope falls down. It was up like behind the bricks. And it was a white envelope and had these Polaroid pictures in it. It was kind of strange. Like, I don't know why somebody would put it up there. But
Right.
on the outside of the envelope, it said the Ostling clan, Ostling.
Okay.
And it had Polaroid pictures in it. And it was just strange stuff. Like it was a Polaroid picture of this man, like an older, like 60-year-old man or something. And it looked like something from Europe or something like that because it had one of those houses in the background where it's white. It's got the boards that go like this, like in Switzerland or something.
Yeah.
This man and this woman, he's standing there and he's got his arm around this woman, and they're standing in front of the house and they're just kind of like blank face staring at the camera, not smiling or anything. And there was a couple of pictures of them, a picture of that house, and then there was pictures of this Doberman. And in every picture, he's like baring his teeth and growling, and it's like a close up of his face. I mean, it was just, stuff like that. I don't know who the Osling clan was or something like that. I don't know what we did with that. We, put
Yeah.
the pictures back in and threw it up on the mantle, and I think we held on to it. But
That's so strange that you'd find an envelope up there. Like,
I mean, somebody went through the
it's,
effort to put it in there somehow.
yeah.
And I don't know how I don't know if there was, I mean, I didn't look before he started chiseling the bricks out, but I don't know if they were able to put it in there somehow or if they bricked it back. I don't know how they got it in there, how it got in
Hmm.
there. I'm trying to think what happened next. I remember it was Christmas time. And I told you right when you come in the foyer through the front door, there's a wide foyer. It's probably about, I don't know, 8 feet wide. I mean, it was big enough to be like a little room almost or something.
Yeah.
And it was Christmas time, and we had put the Christmas tree in the corner because the foyer came in, and then the hall ran down the right side of it. You're coming in from the front door, and in that big bedroom, it made a jog out into the foyer, and that's what took up that space. So it made a corner right there, and that's where we put the Christmas tree because you could see it through the front door.
Yeah.
When you like if you
Pretty.
leave the light on, you can see the tree.
Pretty.
Yeah, it was pretty. So I'm in the bedroom to the right, and I had my bed turned where the headboard was right up against the door. And my other roommate, the cynical guy, was straight across from me, and he had his bed turned the same way. So we used to leave the doors open and everything because like there was no AC. It was wintertime, but whatever. I mean, we never shut the doors when we were sleeping. And we would, when the tree was up, we were leaving the foyer light on so you could see the tree from the outside, like at night. And me and him were both asleep. And we just, like I told you, that floor made that metallic sound.
Yeah.
Something hit that floor like hard, like not footsteps. This was like somebody dropped a bowling ball from the ceiling
Wow.
and it hit the floor and like it shook things in the house. And when it shook the floor so hard that like ornaments fell off the Christmas tree.
Wow.
It woke us up and we could hear the ornaments, and we're both coming out of a dead sleep, and we both roll over in the bed and look out the door, and we're looking at each other, and there's some kind of animal in the floor that was probably, I don't know, as big as a medium-sized dog or something. I mean, it was probably a 50-pound, 40, 50-pound animal. And to describe it, it looked like it didn't have a tail. It didn't have ears. It had like, I guess it had fur. It was kind of a brown color. And this thing sitting there in the middle of the hall, and it looks at him, looks at me, and then it jumps under the Christmas tree. And it about knocked the tree over. And it's kicking like we had presents under the tree, and it's kicking. So me and him jump up, and he had an axe handle that he kept by his bed. So he's like, oh, what the heck was that? Blah, blah, blah. We're both out of bed now. And you can, I mean, we're awake. I mean, when we first looked, we couldn't really, our eyes were still blurry from sleeping, and we couldn't really see this thing all that well. And then next thing, it was under the tree. But when we got up and we were both fully awake, it was still scurrying around in there. Like you could hear it scratching and the
Yeah.
trees shaking and the presents are sliding and all this stuff. Then all of a sudden it just stops. And like I said, this thing was, I mean, there's no way it could have got out of there, went anywhere without us seeing it at that point. We were standing right there. And everything stops. No sound, nothing. And we were sitting there and I'm taking the presents out of the tree, from under the tree one at a time, because I don't know what this thing is. I don't know if I'm gonna get bit. I don't know what's happening.
Right.
Took everything out. Nothing's there.
Nothing at all. And you never saw it. There wasn't like a window it could get out of or anything like that.
No, that thing.
I have to ask.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's no, the thing was in a corner. So I mean, the only direction it could have gone was out and down the hallway, and I was standing right there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way something that big could have done that, got down the hallway, and went anywhere in that house without me seeing it. And
So
then
I was just going to ask, like, as far as the description goes, d- did it look like any sort of animal you might recognize, except not having ears? Because most animals you see ears on.
a capybara.
That is definitely not native to North Carolina. But that, I
The
mean,
only
that's a good
reason I say
description.
that, the only reason I say that is because I saw a capybara somewhere on TV or something. I was like, man, that looks like that thing that was in the house at the time.
Yeah, and
If I
those,
had to, that was about the same size as one. I mean, it was, you know, 30, 40 inches long,
yeah,
about knee high.
those
And
definitely have a unique look too. I mean,
yeah, like
wow.
if it had a tail, it had it tucked between its legs because it didn't look like it had one, and I didn't see any ears. Like the first thing you think is, all right, it's a dog. Well, I mean, something else happened later that might have had something to do with this critter. Uh, so I'll skip ahead. Me and one of the roommates ended up getting put on second shift at this factory, and the other guy was on first shift. And he ends up dating this girl, so he was gone all the time. Like he would be going to her house and spending the night over there. So he wasn't around a lot. And me and the guy I was on second shift with, we'd get off at 2 o'clock in the morning,
Hmm.
and we'd come home, and you can't just walk in the door. I don't know if you ever worked second shift, but you can't just walk in the door and go straight to bed.
Right.
So we'd go in the kitchen, we'd fix something to eat, we'd turn the TV on, and there was three different incidents that I can remember, and all three times that other guy wasn't home. So we sat down in the living room, we started watching TV, and I don't remember which one happened first, but I remember which one happened last. So I think the first thing that happened was me and him were sitting in there, and the TV would get quiet, and it would sound like there's music playing somewhere in the house.
Hmm.
And it wasn't like where you could make it out, but it wasn't like a top 40, you know what I mean? It was like music from the big band era or something like that, like something you'd hear in a dance hall or something back in the 20s.
Yeah.
And we'd hear it like when the TV was quiet, the TV come back on, you couldn't hear it anymore because it drowned it out. And finally, we like muted the TV or turned it off or something. We're just sitting there listening, and you could hear it. I mean, we could both hear it. A lot of this stuff, if it's just one person, you can say, well, you're imagining it or whatever. But
Right.
there's two of you, it's either mass hallucination or something's going on. So we're sitting there, we're standing in the living room, and you have to kind of you can hear it, but we were trying to figure out what the kind of music it was or whatever. So we're like, all right. So we'd open the door. You open the door of the living room to the hallway, you can hear it better. Because it's out there somewhere. And we'd be like, all right, it sounds like it's coming from that way. And we'd go down, in this direction towards the end of the hall, back there where the little spook chamber was. And like you'd hear it in there, and you'd go in there, and it would sound okay. Now it sounds like it's up here. And like we'd come out of you'd go back there, and you could hear it, but it sounded distant, like it's in the house, but it's all the way at the other end. And we came out. I remember we thought it was in Mitch's bedroom, which was the guy that wasn't there. And we walked up there, went in his room, and then it sounded like it was back. We're just walking all over the house, and every time you go, it would sound like it was somewhere else. And then I think it eventually stopped. And no, there was two incidents. I'm sorry, I got so the next time this happened, same thing. Came home from work, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Uh, turned the TV on, and this time the TV would pause or get quiet for a second. You could hear a baby crying.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
man, it
not
sounds
what you
like
want to hear.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like a baby laying in a crib crying or something. So we did the same little routine. We walked around the house, and the sound kept moving, and but it was plain as day. It was like just like a baby laying in a crib crying. And we went. I remember we ended up in Mitch's room again because somehow it led us in there, and we were standing in there like talking or something. We were like, I don't know what this is. I don't know why we can't figure out where it's at. And this is where I reference back to that animal. Underneath our feet, something started scratching on the floorboards under our feet from the
Oh,
crawl space. And it was not a rat. It wasn't, I mean, it was something big. If it was something down there, it was a German Shepherd. But it was like, you know how a dog will scratch on a door with both
yeah,
paws? It
yeah.
was like that, like, shoo, 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 shoo. And we both about jumped through the ceiling.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. And I think that kind of ended that for the night. We were so freaked out after that that, we probably were up for a couple hours. And then let's see what else happened. Uh, one time, I was vacuuming. I had the vacuum cleaner out. This was during the day, and we used to get these big wasp nests on the back porch back there, and we had a
Mhm.
can of wasp spray because like you'd walk out the back door because where everybody parked was in the back, and you go out the back door, and every time you'd open the door and go to walk out, these wasps would fly down and sting you like on the back of the neck. And if you've been stung by a wasp, it hurts.
Yes.
So we went and bought a can of wasp spray. You shoot it with that big long stream, and we're spraying these wasp nests and getting down, and they kept coming back. I don't know, if it's, whatever. I'm up in the hallway vacuuming one day, and I see something on the wall out of the corner of my eye that looks like a big stain about this big, and
For the
I could skip.
listeners, sorry, for the listeners, it's about 2 feet.
No, it was probably 16, 18 inches
Okay.
across. It looked about chest level, not chest level, maybe even with my stomach or something like that,
Okay.
maybe 3 feet off the floor. And I saw it out of the corner of my eye, and it moved. And I turned around and looked at it, and it was ants.
Ooh.
And it was a big circle of ants on the wall, and there was a trail going down, like those little sugar ants,
Yeah.
trail going down to the baseboard. And they were all coming up, and they were getting in this big circle right there on the wall, right outside my bedroom door. And I was like, crap, I don't want them loose in here. So I turned the vacuum cleaner off, and I had to go all the way back to the kitchen. This little laundry room, storage room type things off the back of the kitchen. And I got that wasp spray.
Hmm.
Came back, not an ant anywhere in sight.
That's bizarre.
Completely gone. Not a single one, nothing. And I've never seen ants move that quick.
And you were like, what? It took you maybe 30 seconds to a minute to go
Yeah,
to the
something like
back and
that.
yeah,
I mean,
like there's
I wasn't really in a hurry, but it didn't take me more than a minute or two.
yeah, they don't normally. Well, first off, I've never seen ants cluster in a circle like that.
I mean, I've had ants get in the
That's
house before, but they're normally on a mission for eat
right. It's usually
in
a
the kitchen.
line,
Yeah, in the
right?
kitchen and not out in the middle of the foyer where there's no food.
Yeah, that's really and just disappear like that. That's very strange.
Now, I've told you that we got so used to this type of activity that it really didn't scare us anymore. I mean, you see, like I watch a lot of paranormal shows.
Yeah.
Now I can tell, I know they're reenactments and all that stuff, but I'm looking at some of that stuff, and if that's really going on, yeah, that would have scared me.
Yeah.
But I will tell you the one thing that happened that scared me so bad that I had to run out of that house and leave and not come back until my roommates were home.
Yikes.
So again, I think I was on second shift. I don't know where my roommate Bard, he was the one that was on second shift with me, but he wasn't there for some reason. And I was there by myself and I was getting ready to go to work. I think we had to be at work at 3:30. So it's sometime in the afternoon, like 2 o'clock or 2:30, something like that.
Mm.
I'm there by myself. And I've kind of given you the layout of the house, but like you start at the front door, you walk in, my room's on the right, Mitch's room's on the left. Keep going, living room's on the right, Bart's room is on the left. Then the next door on the left is the bathroom. And then from there, you go through that doorway that goes down that sloped hallway.
Yeah.
And then the only thing back there is the fun house.
Yeah.
So I was in the bathroom, and like this is one of them little small bathrooms, and the sink is right, inside the door. So I'm standing there and I'm shaving, and doors open, and the hallway's to my right, and I'm sitting there just shaving, looking in the mirror. I got the water running, and a man walks past the door, not running, just plain as day out of the corner of my eye. I could see him walk by, and he was tall. I would guess 6'2".
Hmm.
He was big, maybe 230, 40 pounds. And I could see him. He was wearing a blue, uh, those old shirts like guys used to wear. I don't know what you call it. It's not denim, but it looks like it's like a blue button-up shirt with
Like,
long sleeves.
yeah.
And it's, like I don't see too many people wearing them anymore, and he's wearing a pair of jeans and some kind of dark shoes and a belt. And he had his hair combed like a greaser, like somebody off of grease or something
Yeah.
with the stuff in it, the butch wax and the ducktail in the back and all that stuff. And he walks by the door, doesn't look at me, doesn't pay any attention to me, just walks by. And I mean, my eyes popped open and I'm like trying, like, maybe he didn't hear me, maybe he doesn't know I'm in here, even though I'm standing here shaving with the light on, the water running. And I stuck my head out the door and he's still walking down the hallway. I'm looking at him from behind and he turns left and goes into that room and just closes the door. Didn't slam it, just closed it behind him.
And that was the funhouse room, the
Yes.
the weird room.
And I could smell his cologne.
Ooh.
I could smell cologne and cigarette smoke. And that was it. I didn't go back there. I didn't open the door. I grabbed my keys. I went straight to my truck, got the heck out of there.
I don't blame you for that. So you never heard like a front door open or anything that would have made you think that somebody had walked into the house randomly?
The front door had a deadbolt on it. Nobody ever went in and out that door because, like I said,
You
the
parked
house
in.
was on the corner and the where you would park. I mean, I'll show. I know we don't want to
Right.
give the specifics, but I'll show it to you. I'll send you some picture or something. But
Okay.
the house faced this one street. You come down and turn on the side street and go around and park in the back. There wasn't a driveway or anything, but the little thing where you drive through the curb was back there,
Hmm.
and it was all like a big gravel area where you could park. I mean, a bunch of people park back there, and we'd always come in the back door, which led into the kitchen.
So there's no way he just walked through the front door.
No, I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
that door had a deadbolt. It also had a lock on it. I think there was a storm door on it that was locked too. And like I said, nobody ever went in and out that door.
So obviously you felt fear because I mean, who wouldn't if some big random guy just walked through your hallway and went into the weird room?
I
But
didn't
did
hear
you?
I didn't hear him before. And when he walked by the door, he didn't really make any noise other than his footstep, like just walking. It was just like
Yeah.
a person walking by you. That's all it was.
Yeah. Did you feel anything like positive, negative, neutral about him? Or were you just like so shocked, didn't even register?
I never felt malice from anything in that house,
That's good.
and the more time I've spent around my wife, which I don't remember when we were talking about her, that wasn't on the air, I don't think.
No.
She's kind of got she's a energy person, you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Oh yeah.
And I've become a little more in tune to that. So if this were to happen today, I think my perception might be a little bit different. But at first I'm like, oh crap, what's going on? This house is haunted. There's stuff going on here. And then it went to the point of, okay, there's things banging and moving and going in that room and whatever, but they're not screwing with us
Mm-hmm.
other than mischievous things like screwing with the TV.
Right.
And like when we'd hear that music or we'd hear that baby crying, the the feeling I had going back was that this is happening, but it really didn't have anything to do with us. I don't know if it was, I don't know exactly how these manifestations work, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe it was some kind of residual energy of some sort.
That would be my guess for for those two things
Yeah,
specifically.
that made it, where we could hear it.
Yeah.
And, like I don't think it was some ghost hanging around the back room going, hey, watch this. I'm gonna turn this radio on and scare these two guys. It was just like, we're hearing something that maybe somebody was playing that music in that house 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm. How long did you live in that house?
Oh God. I want to say maybe a little over a year.
Okay. So
I
not
don't
a
remember.
really long time, but you had a lot of experiences there.
Yeah, it was kind of, I mean, it's not like this stuff was happening nonstop, but it happened on the regular and it happened over, it was not like there was periods of it where it would start and stop for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of just a continuous, gradual thing. And I mean, I don't want to implicate anybody or there was a guy that area. I had this friend that lived in Zebulon all of his life, and that area is notorious for stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, according to him, he was the one I told you was sitting in the chair and the door flew open and he took off.
Yeah.
I mean, he's old Zebulon family, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I talked to him about this podcast. And he actually said he'd be on here, but he'd come on with me, but I didn't have a chance to get with him and line it up or anything like that. But he told me that the guy that lived in the house on the other across the side street, facing the street behind it, was into some stuff he shouldn't have been into.
Mm.
Like he was. I don't know the specifics of it, but the only weird thing I could say about that guy's house is his house kind of mirrored our house, but you know, so you picture you come along the street we're on, you turn, and he's on the street behind us on the other side of the side street. So the backs of the houses faced each other across the side street.
Gotcha.
And the only thing weird, I won't go into detail. The guy passed away, but I bet he had 75 cats in his backyard.
Wow.
I mean, there was like just a huge group of cats, and they just would stay in the backyard. They'd be up on the porch. They'd be walking around, and like when him or his daughter or somebody would come home and pull in there, all the cats would run over to the car.
Wow. I mean, I like cats, but that's an excessive amount of cats.
I mean, it was like a herd of. I mean, I swear. I mean, there had to be at least 25 or 30 of them. I mean, it was like, and they would all stay in a group, kind of like the ants.
Mm.
And yeah, that was just weird. And my friend was telling me, his name is Richard. He was telling me about this guy and some stuff that had happened years ago, like some political stuff that he was involved in, and he got mad. Uh, I don't know, some stuff he did, got in trouble for it, blah blah blah. And I have the feeling, and it was weird because this guy was real sinister looking. I
Hmm.
mean, he looked like somebody that would tie a girl to the railroad tracks. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he'd challenge you to a around the world hot air balloon race. And he came by one time, right when we moved in, and he knocked on the door and told us who he was. We didn't know who he was. I mean, I hadn't talked to my buddy about him yet. And he was just acting weird. Like he had these real squinty eyes. And he was like the whole time we're talking to him, he came to the front door, and I think all three of us were standing there. And the whole time he's trying to look around us and look inside the house and cutting his
Strange.
eye. Yeah, and you'd be talking to him, and he's not even looking at you while you're talking. He's trying to look over your shoulder. Then when we left and shut the door, I saw him walk around the porch and like look in the two windows to the bedrooms that were there. And then if we'd be outside pulling in or something, I don't know where he'd be coming from, but to go to his house, you would think he would come up that street that he lives on
Right.
because the way the town's laid out. But he would always come down, turn on our street, and then turn left right there at our house, and he would slow down and look at the house. And like if we were out back, he'd pull up, stop, look at us. If we look back at him, he'd wave at us and kind of pull on into his place.
Was it like he had some sort of fixation on the house or curiosity about y'all?
If I had to speculate, this is just my opinion. I have the feeling those people that lived in that house before us knew him.
Hmm.
And I think, you know where I'm going, I think. I think they were doing some kind of, what word am I looking for here?
Ritual?
Ritual. Okay. I think whatever they were doing, they did it in that back room. And uh, I don't know what his role in it was, but maybe they were influenced by him. I think he knew what they were doing. I think the reason he was coming around there after we moved in was probably because he was trying to see if they left anything behind that might,
Hmm.
you know, cause him any trouble. But I will go to the next part of my story, and
Okay.
this is the last chapter with that house, and my wife is tied into this.
Okay.
So I've explained to you about my wife, right?
Right. She's on the psychic side.
Yes. So you know where Cassie lives because that's where I last saw you.
Hmm.
So this was only a couple of years ago. Cassie hadn't lived in that house long,
Right.
and we had gone over there for something. And you know where she lives is outside of Zebulon.
Right.
And I had told my wife and daughter about this house before. I mean, I told them the stories about it. And I don't know if they believed me or they didn't believe me or whatever. They kind of were like, yeah, whatever. And we were leaving Cassie's house one night. It was somebody's birthday or something. And it was dark and we were heading home. And, to get home, I uh, come up from her house at 96 and I turn on 64 right there at Triangle East Shopping Center.
Hmm.
So if you keep going straight into Zebulon, the house is down that way. And it wasn't far. And I was pulling up there. I was getting ready to turn. I said, hey, y'all want to go see that house? And my daughter was sitting in the front seat with me, and my wife's sitting in the back. And my daughter's like, yeah, let's go see it. Let's go see it. And it's dark, it's pitch dark, no moon out. I guess it was cloudy. And so I drive down and I turn, on the street this house is on, and it's so dark. And keep in mind, I hadn't been there in 30 years.
Right.
It's so dark that you really can't see anything but the light coming out of the windows on the houses. And I'm going down the street. If it was broad daylight, I could have found it no problem.
Right.
But I stopped at the house that was on the opposite corner, like the next house before it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at it and I was trying to figure out if that was it. Like I said, I couldn't really see anything but the light coming out the windows. And my wife wasn't really involved in any of this. She just kind of sat back there going along for the ride. And I said, hold on, I think it's this one. And just out of nowhere in the back seat, my wife goes, no, it's that one. And she points. And I pulled up and she was right. And so I described the house. I pulled up and I turned left like I was going to Homeboy's house there.
Yeah.
So I didn't go in front of it because I don't know what you go down there. I'd have to turn around or something. But if you turn left right there, I can come back out the next block and be on the way. So when I turn, we're all looking at this house and my daughter starts screaming. And I look over there in that bedroom where my roommate Bart slept in was the
Mm-hmm.
big master bedroom. And again, this could have been anything, but me and my daughter both saw. There's two tall, narrow windows right there, and they stick out kind of like a square bay window.
Yeah.
And there was these two men that look like twins standing in those windows looking back out at us. They were tall, thin, old men. They were wearing navy blue or dark black. It looked like navy blue. I couldn't really tell. Suits and a little white shirt and a little skinny tie. And we took, and Chloe just, I don't know, they weren't doing anything. They were just standing there. So we took off, or I took off. And when we got back to that window where the little spook room was,
Yeah.
this blue light that looks like the color of a police siren shined out that window like a flashlight or a laser or something. It came on, shined out, and was shooting across the street. We had to drive through it.
Weird.
And we came home that night, one of her birds died.
Weird and sad.
Yes.
Do you
So
think it was related?
I don't know, but the following night, I don't know what caused this. This doesn't happen around here, so I don't want you to think I'm some kind of lunatic. Me and my daughter got into it about something. I went absolutely ballistic.
Mm.
And I've never gotten that angry at her about anything. So yeah, I think it was related.
Like something followed y'all.
Like some funk got on me or got on us and we brought it home.
Yeah.
And those little birds in there, they don't take much to kill one of them.
Right.
And then me losing my temper like that. And then it was so bad that she got up and left the room. And I sat down. I had to go outside. I walked out on the back porch and I was like, what the heck am I doing? What's wrong with me? And then I was like, this isn't me. So I called her out. I said, Chloe, come out here. I need to tell you. I said, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened.
Mm.
And she's pretty bad about holding a grudge. And I just said, that wasn't me. And she goes, I know it wasn't. And she said, let's not go by there again. And I haven't been back.
Makes sense.
And
Also makes me not want to go by there.
well, feel free. I'll be glad to give you the address offline. I do you do, I'm trying to think what Cassie told me. Do you do readings and stuff?
I do. Yeah. I do readings. I do energy healing, and I've spent over a decade doing paranormal investigations. But I do try to avoid the negative energy as much as possible.
I could show you where it's at. I don't think I want to go over there.
Yeah, if you want to email me the address, I might drive past it sometime. I know you told it to me when we first were talking about this at Cassie's. But I do not remember which street it was on. So if
Oh, that's fine.
offline you want to send that to me, I'll drive past.
Yeah, do me a favor, go over there and see if you pick up. I mean, I don't know how that stuff works. I mean, like I said, this was in 1989 or something like that.
Hmm.
So if there was residual energy from recently, I don't know if that stuff wears off. I don't know if you
Honestly,
have to do something to get rid of it.
yeah, it really depends on the people who've lived there since. Like, if they've had experiences and they wanted to try to get rid of it, they might have been able to. Or sometimes places like that attracts people who are totally fine with it and would actually encourage it. Most people would not, but so you never know. It really depends on who's been there since, and it's been a while since you were there.
Yeah, I looked it up on the Wake County property appraiser's website,
Hmm.
and the guy that owned it before, or the guy that we rented it from, it's had like maybe two or three owners since then. But he had owned it since like the 60s. And then
Hmm.
like I said, the records on that thing don't go back. Like you can look on that site, it says, I don't know if you've ever been on it, but it tells you the year it was built, which it was built in 1915, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, which sounds about right because we used to live in some old houses in downtown Raleigh that were built in 1910,
Yeah.
and they looked like they were from the same era. But yeah, it's had like three different owners, and if you like go on Zillow and you look at it, somebody's remodeled it because it looks a lot better than it did when we were staying there. And yeah, I think somebody bought it like in the last year.
Okay. Yeah, and at this point it's over 100 years old. Although
Uh,
like 1915 would make sense if you heard 20s style music and it was residual. I mean, somebody could have
yeah,
really
I
been
mean,
enjoying it.
it wasn't like 80s music or anything like that. It was something older. It was the big band type music.
Yeah, that's cool. So we have a little bit of time left. You had mentioned another story that if we had time, you might share.
Oh, that one about the tree and my wife.
Yeah.
So that goes back to those houses we lived in downtown Raleigh, those old houses. Her parents, her father, stepdad owned the houses, and her and him and her mom lived in the one on the right. We lived in the one on the left, and they were only like 16 feet apart. And behind the one we lived in was this huge black walnut tree. I mean, the
Hmm.
trunk of that tree was probably so. I had. I'm assuming that when they built that house, somebody planted that tree in 1910. That's probably how old it was.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was out there mowing the grass one day. She was at work, uh, and she worked up. You know, the house is in downtown Raleigh, and she worked up off uh, Six Forks Road, kind of up north. And it's like I don't know, middle of the day on a Saturday, and I'm out there mowing the grass, and it was this weird feeling, and it was really strong, and I really don't know how to describe it, but that tree was bugging me. I mean, it was like this sad energy coming from that tree, and it was totally 100% directed at me.
Hmm.
And it was to the point where I'm mowing the grass and I just keep stopping and looking at the tree, and I could almost feel this thing looking back at me. And
Wow.
it was like it wanted something. And it got so bad that I turned the lawnmower off and I went over there and I put my hands in. And I didn't know what to think about it, but it was so strong and it was bothering me. And I went inside and Victoria called right when I went in.
Hmm.
And she said, "What's the matter?" And I said, I mean, she wasn't supposed to get off till like end of the day.
Yeah.
And she said, "What's the matter?" And I said, "It's the tree." And she said, "I know." And I said, what's wrong with it? She said, I don't know, but I'm on my way home.
Uh,
So she came home and I'm standing there and I'm looking out the blinds on the sliding glass door. And I said, come here. And she looks out there at it. And I said, can you feel it? She said, yeah. And I said, what is it? And she's like, I don't know. So she goes and lays down in the bed or something. And Chloe's in her bedroom and she had a printer in there and the printer wasn't working or something. So I get up and I go in there and I'm sitting in her bedroom and I'm trying to help her get this printer started. And it starts raining. And like I said, it's maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday.
mm-hmm.
And I mean, this was like 45 minutes ago. This thing was happening with the tree.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in there with her and I'm trying to get this Bluetooth thing hooked up on her printer or something. And I hear it start raining and the lights flicker. And I'm like, man, crap, we're going to lose power, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And then I'm trying to hurry up and get this done because I think the power is going to go out. Lights flicker again. Uh, and then it starts raining harder. And then I hear the wind go, whoosh, and it
Oh
starts
no.
making all these like swirly, like wind noises.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what the heck is that? And then I hear, brap, 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 brap. And Chloe's like, what is that? I said, I think it's hail. And when I did, that scene from Twister, the movie
Yep.
Twister, started going through my head. I'm like, we got hail.
Yeah.
And then I heard the rain picks up, the wind picks up. And then I heard bam, ba bam, ba bam. Stuff's just hitting the house as debris.
Mm-hmm.
And right then is when I said, oh crap. And I went to put the computer down and stand up. And then have you ever been through a tornado?
I've been through a microburst that we thought was a tornado, so like lots of damage.
They say that it sounds like a train. They're not lying.
Yeah.
And it's like the loudest train you'll ever hear in your life. And that's when I hear, and I stood up and I didn't know what to do. I was completely panicked. And
Yeah.
Chloe starts screaming, and Victoria's up in the bedroom going, I think she was screaming, get Chloe and get in the bathtub. And then Chloe starts screaming, go find my cat, go find my cat. So I don't know what happened. I ran out into the, like where the kitchen is. And I'm just standing there thinking, we're about to die.
Yeah.
And I look up and the whole, like the house is like twisting, like flexing left and right. And the sheetrock's cracking and I mean, there's stuff falling down from the ceiling. And then I hear this loud, like crack sound. And boom, this big crash. That tree came right through the roof.
Wow.
The tornado had blown it over, uprooted. Tree died.
It's like it knew it was going to die that day.
It knew it was going to die, and I don't know what it thought I was going to do about it. But it came
But
through, it crushed the whole side of the house. If any of us had been over there where that thing came through the roof, we'd have been dead, or we'd have been 6 inches tall. And
wow.
just like that, it was gone. I mean, it went
What
on by.
what year was this?
2011. You remember when
Okay. It was the big one in
it was that
2011.
one that blew the Walmart down in Sanford or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, it came right over our house. And I don't know how it did. I mean, the tree was 20 feet behind the house. So the only thing I could think of why it didn't blow the house down was because it came from the back. And when you got to where our house was, the land sloped down
Mm-hmm.
and the house kind of sat down below the hill.
Yeah.
The tree was up on top of the hill. Because there were lawn chairs, like just regular lawn chairs, sitting on the ground under the tree, and they didn't even blow away or blow over.
It is so crazy
So
to,
it must have went over the house and caught the
yeah.
tree by the top is all I can think of.
Well, I'm glad you were not injured and y'all made it out safely.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, that was a bad day for a lot of people around here. Um, yeah, and that's so wild that you both felt it from the tree. I'd say premonition, but premonitions usually, you just
It
get a
was the tree's
foreboding.
premonition, not
Yeah,
mine.
exactly. Like you would get a foreboding that something was going to happen to your house or your tree, but instead you're just getting this bad feeling, like
It
sadness
was,
for the tree.
and it was really sad too. I mean, the more I think about it, I mean, that tree knew what was going to happen to
It's wild. Kind of
it.
mind-boggling. Thank you for sharing your stories.
Well, I thank
Um,
you for having me,
yeah, I really appreciate it, and I will let you go now. Thank you for your time.
and thank you.
Thanks again to Mike for sharing his experiences, and thanks to you for listening. If you are interested in sharing your own paranormal experiences, or if you have an idea for an episode topic, please reach out through the contact form at peeppodcast.com. That's PEEP podcast.com. Remember, that stands for People Experiencing Everyday Paranormal. While you're there, subscribe to my newsletter to keep up with the podcast and all my creative and energetic endeavors. I only email it once a month. You'll receive briefs on recent episodes, information on any upcoming appearances, plus some additional fun stuff, like free short stories. If you enjoy the podcast, please give it some rating love on your favorite podcast app, share it with friends, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Ratings, reviews, and shares help platforms like Apple Podcast and Spotify know it's worthy of surfacing to new listeners. And as we build our audience, we have more chances to hear their paranormal stories. A huge thank you to everyone who's given the show some love. You're helping it grow. No matter how you support the show, listening, telling others about it, or any other way, I absolutely appreciate your being here. Thanks again for listening. Stay safe and be well.